Hey everyone, Dave here. With me as always is Brian. December 1773. This is the December Daily, as Brian is calling it. Today on the show, we are going to talk about the Damar Hamiln incident. But more specifically, we're going to talk about vaccines. And Fauci was front and center trying to dispel all the crazy vaccine rumors.
Dr. Fauci, I don't know if you saw it, but on Monday Night Football this week, Damar Hamlin, a player for the Buffalo Bills, collapsed on the field. You're not an NFL expert, and you're not an expert on any cardiovascular issues the player might have had. But what I want to ask you about Dr. Fauci is, people on Twitter began to say, well, clearly the vaccine caused his seizure.
Death? He died on the field, not a seizure.
And that had a multiplier effect on Twitter, as these things tend to do.
It's weird they reference Twitter.
Well, my reaction is one of concern about...
Isn't it horror? Borderline? More than concern?
Yeah, it's horror that misinformation and disinformation...
You just fed him a line.
When you have a platform like social media that exponentially spreads, the thing as a public health person and as a physician and a scientist, and my identity as a physician is the thing that gets pained the most by that.
His identity,
because what that means, Major, is that yet again another conspiracy theory, complete nonsense, is going to have some people make a decision for themselves and their family not to get vaccinated. Conspiracy theories and spreading it all around, fine, except if it results in a person suffering and perhaps dying. And that's what happens when disinformation disincentivizes people to get proper interventions for a threat like a pandemic.
And in some of these instances, as you well know, Dr. Fauci, there is some shred of evidence myocarditis was related to vaccines. It is a heart issue. I'm not a doctor. You are. That's a shred of evidence.
A very small shred. Right.
Just a small shred.
To add to the conspiracy that he was recently vaccinated, and therefore that's why he collapsed on the field. When if you look at the film, it's clear that he had a very big, strong person's shoulder go into his chest, which clearly can cause a traumatic injury to the heart. And yet the conspiracy theory about this related to vaccine, you're right, it's spread all over.
They want everyone to think. I'm telling you, this idea that the hit caused this, to me, is the most laughable thing that I've heard in a long time. Ron, I actually did the statistical math and I sent it to you.
You did that yourself, David?
Yes. I don't remember the exact number, but I do believe it was somewhere in the realm of 1 in 2 million chance that the hit caused this. And that's based on the average number of tackles per game and the amount of games played in the NFL. It's never happened before. Never once has it happened. Not only in our lifetime, but in any lifetime.
I seen something. There was something about 1971 Lions player. Is that correct?
There have been other instances, but there was certainly never anything
like this.
Arguably,
when the game was more violent, decades ago than it is now, because of the way technology is in law. Rules in the game have quote unquote made it safer, and they play different.
Right, and there's no way you can convince me that the hit had anything to do with it. I mean, how? It's not like it was a bit. Even if it was a really really big hit, I still wouldn't believe it. But it wasn't even a big hit. I mean, this was a play you'll see this play 5, 10, 15 times in a game. It's a very ordinary thing. Man's coming across the middle, he wraps him up, he gets driven to the ground, and that's it. He gets up, he hops right up, like nothing happened, and then he falls backward and drops.
Of course, I had a video sent. It was weird, David, to kind of piggyback on this. I had 4 people reach out to me right away after it happened about vaccines. Like, right away. Like, it was, obviously, I'm in the space, we're in the space, and my friends and family know how I think and stuff, so it was very easy for them to reach out to me with all this information. But it was still interesting that there was immediate... which is kind of piggybacking into him. Fauci sounded like, let's be honest, a military-grade shit poster there for a moment. And this man, from my opinion, Fauci makes it sound like he is trying to This is basically what they did with Alex when they said that they could sue him for all this stuff. They're going to try to link that people dying from not getting vaccinated from COVID is going to be the equivalent because somebody on the internet said that, there's various degrees of things that we should be concerned about, even though there's been murky shit since the beginning with the vaccine and everything else. And even with them admitting in court that it didn't do exactly what they advertised it to do. So why would I stop questioning people that have already lied to me about this, which is really, and then they just label it, once again, military terms, disinformation, misinformation, not even real things. Those are military terms. Let's not exaggerate. And they're using that to censor that. And it's, once again, it's where they highlight Twitter, because I'm sure Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and everybody else were censoring and throttling the information substantially on their platforms already about this. And Twitter was the only place that it was really happening. I actually sent David a screenshot of someone Cardone. He's like a billionaire.
Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone. It's actually deleted now. He took it down.
Oh, that's fascinating. It was from the Good Sciencing article, which is still up if you want to go on Google. It's been referenced by a few different people. And of course, Ryan, it's not perfect science, so we must throw it out as conspiracy. That's been the narrative on that article.
There's no just one science, David. Science is multiple sciences and studies.
No, but Ryan, I want to go back to the just a quick question for Fauci. Since his as the man stated, he's not an NFL expert by any means, and he's not a heart expert, but we're going to ask him questions.
Let's interview all the team's doctors and see if they've ever seen any hit. The people that actually literally work with athletes. It gets sent to my phone that they said it's something with like the heart, right? Like the heartbeat. They showed like a very intricate diagram. And it's on the outstroke of the fourth ventricle or something.
The theory is it has to happen at a very specific time of the heartbeat, and then the hit has to occur at that very exact millisecond. And again, statistical likelihood of that happening is 0. I just don't buy it.
No, Dave, it's not 0. It's 1 in 1.9 trillion.
Here's the interesting thing, though, to Fauci's point, because this is the narrative that they've decided to go with, is that the hit caused it. And I know this is anecdotal, Ryan. This isn't empirical evidence, but at this video, I want you to look at this and notice if there's any really big shots to the chest in this video that would cause any of these people to drop out of nowhere.
Is brought to you by Pfizer. CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer. Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Big hit to the chest. There she goes.
Brought to you.
Oh, he just got hit in the chest. You can tell.
Making a difference. Brought to you
big
by
hit in the chest.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by
Maybe
Pfizer.
Here,
Early start.
Nope,
it's weird. It's all
by Pfizer.
That's
Friday
weird.
night
Oh,
on
peak
Aaron
physical
Burnett
condition people.
Brought to you by Pfizer. This week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you by Pfizer.
This weather report brought to you by Pfizer.
Today's countdown to the royal wedding is brought to you by Pfizer.
And now a CBS Sports Update brought to you by Pfizer.
Meet the Press data download brought to you by Pfizer.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Pfizer. On how to find the hidden sugars in the American family diet. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Well, see, this seems like a lot, Ryan. And per that Good Sciencing article, I believe it was 1,500 people or so over the past.
Over 1,000 of them died.
Yeah, but that's not science.
It's truly amazing because the reason more people aren't dying, probably, this is a YouTube disclaimer. I am a doctor on the internet, not in real life, but like in my professional observational opinion here, it's only the extreme people dropping dead with the vaccine in them, because that's really the only place that you're going to be able to measure the effects of these crazy things that they're putting in our body. Maybe if people, it's also funny to me that the equivalent of football is the gladiators and old warfare, right? Like old swords and shield warfare, basically. And it's weird that if we had to rebel against a bunch of elitists with our heart rates elevated, wearing armor like gladiators, that we would suddenly drop dead possibly if we had certain chemicals at a certain bandwidth in our heart rate. The amount of stuff they know about the human body, I wouldn't be surprised if this vaccine, once again, the reason we're not seeing it in the average person or old people who, quite frankly, are supposed to take the shot, right? the reason it probably kills them quicker is because they don't do anything. And the reason these athletes are dropping dead is because when they get their heart rates up or they're breathing in all this air, it's something's happening. Like that's like Jordan Peterson always says it's not the average overall that you got to look at, it's the extremes. And what are the extremes that are all linking these things together? These incidences that it's athletes. I seen a thing that I think I sent to you, Dave. It was a tennis player in high school had cardiac arrest. A child had heart attacks. Never happened. Heart attacks have never happened in youth. Now, granted, maybe it's our diet and all these other things, which is even more problematic, right? Because it's deeper. The conspiracy, Fauci, is deeper than just your vaccine. It's actually the entire genetically modified food industry that's owned by fucking Bill Gates and Pfizer.
Well, I found something interesting around on the internet, and as you know, the internet is the keeper of all things. And it kind of coincides with the fact that the Fauci files are supposed to be dropping soon on Twitter. And I think this is going to be, of all the Twitter files things we've done, I think the Fauci files might be the most explosive ones coming forward. I would say.
Oh, you mean the military silencing people with 100 followers on Twitter wasn't bad enough, David?
No, this is going to be worse. And this is my guess. Fauci says he's not worried about it publicly. But this clip I'm going to show is why we all knew not to trust Fauci, not to trust the CDC, not to trust the WHO, all these people. But it's still chilling, and you can hear the audible gasp from the crowd when he says this here. It's dude, my hair will stand up on my arms.
So what's happened to the autopsy, Ryan?
Well, Anthony Fauci told our government to tell people don't do autopsies on COVID patients. You cannot find that for which you do not look. I have a post-vaccine 9-year-old on my desk, dead.
Wow.
I don't want to see one more child post-vaccine ever on my desk. Are the autopsies starting to happen? You bet they are, finally, because people are saying, well, why wouldn't we do them? And in that same town from which this 9-year-old died, a healthy 22-year-old wrestler, after his third shot, is now also coming to be on my desk so I can determine the cause of death there. We're told don't do autopsies, don't look, and that's what your government is giving you for data. Don't ask, don't tell, don't look. These are not the droids you're looking for. Everything is safe and effective. Go jab up the children with a shot that doesn't work for a virus that isn't here anymore, for a virus that most of them are already recovered from. Safe and effective. Don't do science. Don't ask a question. Destroy the careers of those that do ask a question, that are only in it for humanity. Valid questions to ask yourself.
I want you to take that clip right to, you take it and run with that, Ryan, because I know you've probably got a million things to say now.
It's incredible he talks about not wanting to see another 9-year-old on his desk, but we're going to see him on a desk because he's the next one to die.
I'm sure he's swinging somewhere.
These are the brightest people that we can possibly produce inside academia, the very systems that are now telling me. Do you notice it's older doctors, David? Mm-hmm. Has anybody questioned why? Because these guys have nothing to lose. They know they're at the end of their lives. They're looking at children very differently than a 30-year-old that's been told that life is invaluable and that, life doesn't start. Look at the PP movement. They've devalued us. We're cancers to the earth. So no young doctor is going to stand up for human life like the old conservative, crazy, whack lunatics.
No, they do. To your point, a younger person just starting his career has much, much more to lose.
Yeah, has $300,000 in student loan debt, and he'll never get a job ever because the military can censor his fucking information and take everything from him. at a militaristic, organized level that is backed by the government, which is backed by the opinion of like 4 people, 1 person. These are the brightest. This is literally communism, corporate communism. And we wanted it. We wanted social. You got it. We didn't even make it to socialism. We just have social programs. We didn't even make it to socialism like they did in the Third Reich and everything. At least they mimicked socialism. We're just like, oh, the police is socialism. Is it when all of their pensions are ran by the government? Is that socialism? The finest people we can produce, saying the same thing David and I are on our couch. The same thing everybody at home knows. And then Fauci's just going to contribute it to conspiracy. How long do I got to sit here and just be told lies and lies and repeated lies, and we can prove them? We caught them in real fucking time. Mm-hmm. Once again, the Twitter files about COVID last week that we covered, we were showing you, Dave brought all the documents, read everything, presented everything. And even after that, it's like we caught them in real time. There was no insight. How come none of that was leaked? I made that joke. I said that last week, but it's true. Not one person leaked it. Why? We got to ask ourselves why. Why are no autopsies on dead people? Well, what do you do for gun control? What do you do for George Floyd? You have everybody involved fucking on the TV at all hours of the day, 24-hour news coverage. I'm hearing more about the NFL thing going on this week than I am anything else. The finest people we can produce. These are literally the finest people. They built the backbone of academia that are teaching the next level of people. What more do we gotta... How many more people do we have to hear, see, follow, listen to on the... It's not conspiracy. If there's only 1,000 experts in biology or whatever, and you censor 100 of them on the internet, you don't want the discussion. This is why actually Albert Einstein was against peer-reviewed fucking studies. Because he basically said human nature would trample on it. This is what Jesus said, right? Don't spit your pearls of wisdom before swine. They will trample them. Something like that. It's older than us. Older than America, that saying. Why would it be any different when a company that produced a vaccine that lied about its results, it's a way to minister, they lied the whole time. And they got billions of dollars from our government that is going to be trillions of dollars in the next decades. Trillions of dollars stolen from our youth and our child. But I'm told I have at least we got streets, David. I'm glad I have fucking roads that I can't use because gas is so expensive. Because you gave all my money away to pharmaceutical companies that are killing people. It's a conspiracy. Well, what about our food then? Start a food. Bill Gates owns everything.
One of the things when all COVID was going on, that we were
shut fucking gyms down, David. They're telling you fat is healthy. Why would I trust any of them ever? And I'm called crazy. When it's been known, the Greeks, we have the fucking body mass index thing the military uses was invented by the Greeks. They knew 4,000 fucking years ago. Don't follow history. History's not important, kids. It's just dates. You don't got to remember dates. Theft of my history. They don't even tell you stuff. Obesity's good. I just seen Lizzo jiggling on the internet this week. Wishing she would fall and crack her head on the edge of that pool.
You got to...
I'm hearing from her. It's just ridiculous. This woman's... She's not a doctor either. And she's given all of this... She's literally promoted in their algorithms. And her thing... If me saying this on the internet could cause somebody's death, like Fauci's saying, Lizzo saying being fat and healthy is also contributing death from COVID. Why is she not censored? She's beyond 5 strikes if we look at body positivity on Lizzo's Twitter. She'll censor the doctor, though, that can actually study it, that knows what mitochondria do. I don't fucking know. I mean, but like
I was saying, that was always our biggest concern, apart from people dying from a vaccine that wasn't tested correctly. But our biggest concern was always they're not allowing debates to happen. They're not allowing science to happen publicly, and clearly they weren't allowing science to happen privately either. Now, like I said, Fauci.
Well, how can it, David? When I looked up the fucking vaccine court, and it's .gov website. You can punch it in. It's a .gov website. It's real, Fauci. It's not conspiracy. Adverse effects, like all the athletes that died, just adverse.
Well, that was just from a hit to the chest, right?
Dude, children watched a grown man pass before their eyes.
Yeah, and you know, we were up watching the game. Nolan was, you know, he's 8 years old. He was in his chair, and you know, we were on the couch and he was rocking, watching the game, and like, it definitely affected him, like, because he normally would have passed out in his chair on a night game. He came over to the couch, like he wanted to be held. It was rough.
Yeah, they say like by the time you're 9 or 10. I mean, I remember my grandfather passed around 9 and 10, and that's when you can understand more mortality. Actually, you start to begin like what death is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dave, that's crazy, man. I'm sorry you guys had to go through that.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely rough for him. You know, you could tell. And it's just crazy. It was just amazing to see. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's something that's never happened.
That photograph, that wide shot of like the team, you know, like showing like how big it was, will be in sports forever. You know, and it was just like it. Josh, after the game today, like spoke how them winning against the Pats and a lot of the stuff, it was like God. It was spiritual and stuff, and he teared up in an interview, and you know, he was like, I think it was God's way of speaking to a lot of people about what happened and brought a lot of the country together, which I agree. But listen, Fauci, the NFL didn't cancel the game for no reason. They didn't care about the players. I'll tell you that right now. You know, I'm sure there was a high degree of 95% of the NFL, but the actual person making the decision, you think he's willingly throwing away billions of dollars for no reason? Let's think about it. That's how I kind of like figure that this might, not that it's vaccine tied directly, Mr. Fauci, but like makes me question more. We kind of pushed it under the rug a lot because you guys were able to just present it on the biggest stage there is, you know, for a Monday, let alone, you know, everybody gets back to work. It's like some of the biggest view days. That's why we actually drop on Mondays. It's when people are on their stuff. They're less likely to have plans. We see all that, and then you're able to control a narrative for 2 weeks. And then you're going to blame football. You're going to blame these other things. I was actually at like a friend's house watching it, trying to have a good time. And then fucking, it's like, well, I'm going to head out now. Just like Dave Ryan, December 17th, 73. Catch us Mondays through Fridays now.
Weekdays.
Weekdays, 7 p.m. Dave and I will be there. Catch you guys later. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.